Imagine this: he's at work, in a meeting, or out with his friends, but no matter what he's doing, you keep flashing through his mind. He's distracted, restless, even smiling to himself because he can't stop thinking about you. Now let me ask you, what if you had the power to make that happen? What if you knew exactly how to leave such a mark on him, that even in your absence, you're the one thing he can't escape? Today, I'm going to show you how to make a man think about you constantly, not through games or desperation, but through a magnetic energy that makes you unforgettable. Mystery is one of the most powerful forces when it comes to making someone think about you constantly. It's not about being secretive in a way that feels cold or unapproachable, but rather about allowing him to experience the delicious curiosity of not fully having you figured out. When you reveal everything about yourself too quickly, you rob him of the pleasure of discovery. Human nature craves the unknown, and the mind loves to solve puzzles. The truth is, when you leave small pieces of yourself unexplained, you create a space in his imagination that he will fill with thought after thought of you. That's why mystery isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about learning to hold back just enough so that he always feels like there is more to explore, more to uncover, and more to chase. Think about the difference between a conversation where you lay everything out on the table and one where you drop just enough to spark curiosity. In the first situation, he walks away feeling satisfied but also finished. There's nothing left to replay in his mind. But in the second, you've left him hanging onto a thread, wondering what else lies beneath the surface. Maybe it's the way you smile but don't fully explain why, or the way you change the subject right as he leans in to learn more about you. That incomplete picture keeps replaying in his head, and that's where the obsession begins. He'll catch himself thinking about what you meant, what your story is, and what you might reveal the next time. Mystery is magnetic because it awakens his curiosity, and curiosity is the root of attraction. It creates a cycle where his brain keeps circling back to you, trying to put the pieces together. It's the same reason we binge watch shows that end on cliffhangers. The unanswered question becomes irresistible, and our minds can't let it go. You can embody that same effect by letting your presence feel like a cliffhanger, something he just has to come back to, something that won't leave him alone until he finds the next piece of the puzzle. The beauty of mystery is that it doesn't require you to act like someone else. It's about embracing the parts of yourself that are multi-layered and not rushing to put them on display all at once. It means knowing that your value isn't tied to how quickly you can impress him, but rather how deeply you can intrigue him. He doesn't need to know every detail of your past or every thought in your head right away. What he needs is the space to be curious, to work for your attention, and to feel the thrill of pursuit. This doesn't mean playing games or being manipulative. It means understanding timing and restraint. For example, instead of answering every text instantly, you allow a natural pause, showing that your life is full and exciting beyond him. Instead of telling him your entire life story on the first few dates, you drop small, intriguing details that make him hungry for more. Instead of dressing to reveal everything, you choose something that leaves a little to the imagination. That balance between what you give and what you hold back is the secret ingredient that makes him replay every moment with you in his head. Mystery is also about contrast. When you are warm and open one moment but playful and elusive the next, you keep him guessing. He never quite feels like he's reached the end of the map, and that unpredictability is intoxicating. It makes his heart race, it keeps him hooked, and it guarantees that when he's lying in bed at night, his thoughts circle back to you. Because while anyone can make him feel content, only mystery makes him feel captivated. Emotional imprint is the art of making someone feel something so deeply when they are with you that the memory lingers long after you've left. It's the difference between a casual encounter that fades into the background of his day and an experience that replays in his mind on a loop. People don't obsess over what feels average. They obsess over what stirs their emotions. If you want him to think about you constantly, you must understand how powerful emotions are in anchoring memories. It's not about being dramatic or over the top. It's about intentionally creating moments that spark feelings he can't easily shake. shake. Think about the times you remember someone from your past. You don't remember them because of what they wore or the exact words they said. You remember how they made you feel. Maybe it was the way they made you laugh until your stomach hurt, or the way they looked at you like you were the only person in the room, or the way they created an atmosphere where you felt free to be yourself. That emotional charge is what sticks. It embeds itself in your memory, and it resurfaces in quiet moments when you least expect it. That's exactly what you want to create for him. An emotional imprint can come from laughter. Humor is one of the strongest ways to bond with someone because it cuts through barriers and creates a shared joy. When he thinks about you and remembers how much fun he had, he's going to crave that feeling again. It can also come from vulnerability, from sharing something meaningful about yourself that opens a deeper level of connection. When he sees a side of you that isn't shown to everyone else, it tells him that the bond he has with you is unique, and that uniqueness is what makes it unforgettable. It can even come from small, thoughtful gestures, things that show him you were paying attention and that you cared enough to do something special. These emotional triggers may seem simple, but they create waves in his heart that ripple long after the moment has passed. What makes emotional imprint so powerful is that it turns ordinary moments into extraordinary ones. A simple dinner can feel electric if you infuse it with laughter, flirtation, and genuine presence. A casual walk can become unforgettable if you share a story that touches him deeply. Even silence can become magnetic when it's charged with a feeling of closeness rather than emptiness. The key is to stay present, to not go through the motions, but to show up with energy, passion, and authenticity. When you do this, you naturally create experiences that embed themselves in his memory. It's important to understand that an emotional imprint isn't about perfection. In fact, sometimes it's the imperfections that leave the deepest mark. The way you stumble on a word and laugh at yourself, the way you admit something embarrassing with confidence, the way you react to an unexpected moment, those raw human experiences create a bond that polished perfection never could. What he will remember most is how alive he felt in your presence, not how flawless you seemed. When you become a source of strong emotion in his life, you stand out from everyone else who simply passes through without leaving a mark. The next time he's at work, or driving alone, or about to fall asleep, those moments will surface. He'll find himself smiling, replaying your words, or longing to experience that same energy again. And the more often he feels that pull, the more you become a constant presence in his mind. That is the power of emotional imprint. It's not just about what happens in the moment, it's about what echoes after the moment is over. Feminine confidence is one of the most irresistible qualities a woman can have, and it is the fuel that makes a man think about you constantly. Confidence by itself is magnetic, but when you pair it with femininity, the warmth, the softness, the sensual energy that makes you glow, it becomes intoxicating. A confident woman doesn't need to chase attention because her presence naturally commands it. She doesn't shrink herself to fit into someone else's expectations because she knows her value doesn't depend on his validation. This type of confidence is subtle yet powerful, and it leaves a man wondering how he can earn more of your time, more of your attention, and more of your energy. When you embody feminine confidence, you send a message without ever having to say a word. The way you walk into a room, the way you carry yourself, and the way you engage with others show him that you are someone who knows her worth. You don't need to overcompensate or prove yourself because your energy already speaks volumes. That kind of quiet assurance makes him lean in. He begins to wonder, what is it about her? Why does she stand out so much? His curiosity starts to build, and that curiosity fuels constant thoughts of you. Confidence is not arrogance. It doesn't mean you are dismissive or unattainable. In fact, true feminine confidence makes you more approachable because it radiates authenticity. You're not trying too hard, you're not pretending to be perfect, and you're not afraid to show your quirks. You can laugh at yourself, you can own your opinions, and you can express your desires without apology. That balance between strength and softness is what makes him feel like he's dealing with someone rare, and rarity is unforgettable. A woman woman with feminine confidence also understands that her value is not tied to a man's response. If he pulls away, she doesn't panic or chase, because she knows that anyone who doesn't recognize her worth is simply making space for someone who will. This self-assuredness is deeply attractive because it communicates security. Men are drawn to women who don't crumble at the first sign of rejection, who hold their ground and keep their standards. It tells him that being with you is a privilege, not a right, and privileges are things men fight to hold on to. Another powerful aspect of feminine confidence is the ability to embrace sensuality without shame. This doesn't mean being overtly sexual unless you want to. It means being comfortable in your own skin, moving with ease, and allowing your energy to speak louder than your words. Maybe it's the way you tilt your head when you laugh, the way you hold eye contact a second longer than expected, or the way you wear something that makes you feel radiant. These small signals wrapped in confidence create a lingering impression that is far more memorable than anything forced or artificial. The truth is, confidence lingers in the mind because it is rare. Many people operate from insecurity, constantly seeking reassurance or approval, but when he meets a woman who is grounded in herself, who doesn't need him to feel valuable, she stands out like a flame in the dark. He will find himself thinking about the way you carried yourself, the way you made him feel when you walked into a room, the way you didn't hesitate to speak your mind with grace and certainty. Those moments leave an imprint because they are so uncommon. Feminine confidence makes him think about you constantly because it's both inspiring and challenging. It inspires him because he admires the strength you carry with elegance, and it challenges him because he wants to rise to meet you, to be worthy of a woman who already knows she is enough. That combination is what keeps you echoing in his thoughts long after you've left the room. Playful teasing is one of the most underestimated yet powerful tools when it comes to making a man think about you constantly. It is not about being mean or cruel, but about creating a spark of tension that dances between the two of you. That tension is fun, sexy, and addictive. It's the little back and forth moments that leave him smiling to himself later, replaying the conversation in his mind and wishing he could experience it again. Teasing in a playful way is the art of creating emotional friction, and friction is what ignites attraction. When you tease a man, you're showing that you're confident enough to hold your own in the interaction. You're not afraid to push back lightly, to challenge him just enough that he doesn't feel like everything is handed to him too easily. Men love the chase, but more importantly, they love the feeling of being engaged. Teasing provides that engagement. If you agree with everything he says, if you laugh at every word without adding your own spice, the energy falls flat. But if you toss in a playful remark, raise an eyebrow, or give a cheeky smile that suggests you know something he doesn't, suddenly the air between you becomes charged. That charge lingers in his head long after you've gone. Playful teasing also creates intimacy without heaviness. It allows you to connect without rushing into deep or serious conversations too soon. Think about how fun it feels when someone makes a light-hearted joke at your expense, but in a way that's so obviously affectionate that you can't help but laugh. That's the feeling you want to give him. When you poke fun at something he said, or challenge him to prove a point, you're building a dynamic that's vibrant and memorable. Those little moments add flavor to your connection, and flavor is what keeps him hungry for more. The beauty of teasing is that it keeps him guessing. He never quite knows what you'll say next, and that unpredictability makes him eager to stay engaged. For instance, if he's bragging a little too much about something, instead of nodding along, you can playfully say, "Oh really? Should I be impressed? Or is this just your usual speech?" Delivered with a smile or a playful tone, it doesn't insult him, it excites him. It's a challenge that makes him want to step up, to prove himself, and to keep your attention. Men think about the women who challenge them in ways that are fun, because it stimulates both their mind and their ego in the best possible way. There's also a flirtatious energy woven into teasing that can't be ignored. It's the spark that builds sexual tension without being explicit. When you lean into that tension, giving him a playful shove on the arm, teasing him about how he looks at you, or jokingly calling out his attempts to impress you, you're creating a space where attraction grows naturally. It's like dancing around a flame. He feels the heat, but he doesn't quite have control over it, and that lack of control drives him to think about you again and again. Most importantly, playful teasing shows that you're not afraid of having fun, that you don't take yourself too seriously, and that you bring lightness into his world. Life is full of stress, seriousness, and responsibility, and a woman who can cut through that with laughter and playful banter becomes unforgettable. Long after the moment passes, he'll catch himself smiling, remembering the exact way you looked at him when you teased him, or the way your words made his heart race. It becomes a loop in his head, a replay he can't stop running back to, and that is why teasing, when done with warmth and affection, is one of the most powerful ways to make him think about you constantly. Space and absence are some of the most overlooked yet most powerful forces in attraction, and when used with confidence and intention, they can make a man think about you endlessly. The human mind has a fascinating tendency to magnify what it does not have immediate access to. When something is scarce, it becomes more valuable, and when someone feels even the smallest distance, their mind begins to fill that space with thoughts and longing. This is why pulling back at the right time, giving him room to miss you, and not always being immediately available can create a powerful craving for your presence. Many women believe that being constantly available is the way to show care and affection, but availability without pause often dulls excitement. Think of it like music. If there were no pauses between the notes, the beauty of the melody would disappear. The same principle applies to relationships. If you're always around, always texting back instantly, always saying yes to plans without hesitation, there is no time for him to anticipate, no moment for him to sit with the thought of you in your absence. But when you give him space, he starts to notice the silence, and in that silence, he starts to crave the sound of your voice, the presence of your energy, and the lightness of your laugh. Absence doesn't have to mean ignoring him or playing childish games. It means you have your own life, your own passions, and your own priorities outside of him. This independence creates contrast. When you are with him, you're fully present, fun, warm, and engaging. But when you're apart, you're just as vibrant, and he knows it. That awareness makes him want to be part of your world even more, because he realizes that your happiness isn't dependent on him, but his happiness is increasingly becoming tied to you. That's when the pull grows stronger, because a man doesn't stop thinking about the woman who makes him feel lucky to be included in her life. Space also builds tension, and tension is the oxygen of desire. When he doesn't hear from you right away, his imagination takes over. He starts wondering what you're doing, who you're with, and why you're not at his beck and call. The truth is that mystery combined with absence makes his thoughts wander back to you again and again. He might even find himself checking his phone more often, replaying your last conversation, or planning what to say next time just to keep your attention. That anticipation is addictive, and it only happens when there's a pause, a space for it to grow. The beauty of giving space is that it makes every moment together feel heightened. When you finally see each other, the energy is fresh and exciting because he's had time to miss you. Imagine a man who never has to go a day without hearing from you. He may appreciate it, but he won't crave it. Now, imagine a man who goes a little while without your texts, and then suddenly your name pops up on his screen. The rush he feels in that moment is fueled by absence. It's a reminder of how much he values your attention, and it keeps you on his mind constantly because he knows that your time and presence are not guaranteed. Absence is not about creating distance for the sake of control. It's about valuing yourself enough to not hand over all of your energy too quickly. It's about letting him feel the weight of your presence by occasionally showing him the weight of your absence. That rhythm, that balance between closeness and space, creates a dynamic where he cannot help but think about you constantly. Because in the quiet moments, in the pauses, in the spaces where you're not there, his mind will rush to fill that emptiness with thoughts of you. Personal signature is what makes you unforgettable in his world, the unique imprint that only you can leave behind, and it is one of the most powerful ways to make a man think about you constantly. Every woman has something distinct about her, but the difference lies in whether she embraces it and uses it with intention. A personal signature can be anything that connects directly to his senses or emotions, something that reminds him of you even when you're not around. It could be the way you speak, the words you use, the tone of your voice, the scent you wear, the touch you leave behind, or even a small gesture you always do that becomes uniquely tied to you. These subtle yet striking details become mental anchors in his mind, and every time he encounters something that reminds him of you, he finds himself pulled back into thoughts of you. Scent, for instance, is one of the strongest triggers for memory. When you choose a fragrance that feels like an extension of who you are, it becomes your invisible signature. Long after you've left the room, that scent lingers in the air and he breathes it in, unconsciously replaying the moments you were there. Later, if he catches a hint of that same fragrance in a store or on someone passing by, his brain will immediately connect it to you. Without even trying, you've created an association so strong that the thought of you becomes automatic. That is the power of tying yourself to his senses. But a personal signature isn't limited to scent. It can be in your words, the little phrases you use that no one else says. Maybe it's a playful nickname you give him, or the way you sign off your texts, or even the unique rhythm of your laughter. These are things small enough to seem ordinary, yet they weave themselves into his memory because they belong only to you. They become triggers that keep you present in his mind long after the conversation ends. Your personal signature can also live in the way you touch. Maybe it's the way you brush his arm when you laugh, or how you linger a second longer in a hug, or even the way your fingertips graze his hand when you pass something to him. Touch, when done with intention, is one of the most powerful emotional imprints. Long after it's over, he'll remember the electricity of it, the warmth it carried, and he'll find himself craving it again. Even your energy can be your signature. Some women carry an infectious lightness that makes a man feel alive when he's around them, while others carry a calm, grounding energy that makes him feel safe and centered. What matters is that you lean into the natural qualities that make you stand out. The key is consistency, showing up in a way that always reflects that unique essence. Over time, that essence becomes something he ties directly to you, something he can't find anywhere else. What makes a personal signature so powerful is that it cannot be replicated. Other women may look beautiful, smell nice, or say sweet things, but none of them will do it exactly like you. The little things you claim as yours, the things you lean into unapologetically, become the threads that weave you into his memory. He doesn't just think about a woman, he thinks about you specifically, and that specificity is what makes obsession grow. When you leave behind your personal signature, you make yourself unforgettable, not by trying to be someone else, but by amplifying what already makes you unique. That scent, that phrase, that smile, that playful touch, they become his triggers, his reminders, his constant invitations to think of you, and before he knows it, you've become the thought he can't escape, because your signature is etched into his mind in a way that no one else can replace. At the end of the day, making a man think about you constantly isn't about chasing him, proving yourself, or bending over backward to get his attention. It's about stepping into your power and understanding the psychology of attraction. Mystery keeps his curiosity alive. Emotional imprint makes him feel something unforgettable. Feminine confidence radiates a glow he can't resist. Playful teasing sparks attention that lingers. Space and absence fuel his longing, and your personal signature ensures he can never confuse you with anyone else. Each of these elements weaves together into a powerful rhythm that makes you unforgettable in his world. The truth is, you don't have to try to be everything for him. You just have to be intentional about how you show up and what energy you leave behind. When you master this balance of intrigue, emotion, confidence, playfulness, independence, and uniqueness, you become the woman who doesn't just cross his mind occasionally. You become the woman he cannot stop thinking about, the one who lingers in his thoughts, his heart, and his desires long after you've left the room.